You know that feeling, that specific, like, electric rush you get when you stumble onto something profound?
Oh, yeah. The Eureka moment.
It could be anything, right?
Yeah.
A productivity hack that actually works, or a philosophical idea that just clicks and makes the whole world make
Or
sense.
a spiritual insight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not just the realization. It's what comes next. That immediate, almost physical impulse to tell absolutely everyone.
You want to be the conduit for that truth.
Yeah, you want to grab people, text your entire contact list, blast it all over social media. It feels almost selfish not to share it. You think, I have the answer. Why wouldn't I just give it to you?
It's a very human, very natural instinct. You find value, you want to distribute it.
But today's deep dive is going to throw a little bit of a wet blanket on that impulse.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe more like a bucket of ice water.
Uh-oh.
We're looking at a source that suggests this. This uncontrollable enthusiasm to share deep truths isn't just, annoying.
Yeah.
It might actually be counterproductive.
Or even spiritually irresponsible,
Oh,
which is a heavy
yeah.
claim.
It is. We are looking at our daily bread, specifically chapter 87. For anyone new to it, this is a collection of essays attributed to the spirit Emmanuel through the Brazilian medium Chico Xavier.
And Emmanuel isn't your typical love and light voice. He's known for being really logical, historically grounded, and, well, kind of stern.
Yeah, he does not sugarcoat things.
Nah.
And this chapter, it's called Always Ponder, is just a masterclass in discernment. It forces you to ask, is the world actually ready for what I have to say?
And maybe more importantly, am I sharing this to help them or to, validate myself?
Oof. Yeah, that's the uncomfortable question at the center of it.
It really is.
So to really get the gravity of this, because the tone is honestly half the message, we thought we'd do something a bit different. We're going to start with a full reading of the chapter.
It's not long, but the language is dense.
It is. We want you to hear it in its entirety, and then we're going to break it all down, including how on earth this applies to, like, your Instagram feed.
Because it definitely does. Let's get into the text.
Always ponder. The chapter begins with a biblical epigraph from Paul to Timothy. It reads, "And the things you have heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to reliable men who will also be qualified to teach others."
The disciples of the gospel in Christian Spiritism often display uncontrollable enthusiasm, anxious to extend and express a renewed, contagious, and ardent faith. Notwithstanding, such a mental activity requires extreme caution, not only because astonishment and admiration do not signify an interior evolvement, but also because it is indispensable to understand the spiritual qualities of the terrain to which the power of knowledge is to be transmitted.
Naturally, we are not referring to the actual dissemination of the revealing truth, nor to the manifestation of fraternal kindness that is implied through our natural obligations and our righteous actions. We emphasize the necessity of each brother to watch over the patrimony of spiritual gifts received from the superior plane, so that the celestial values are not relegated to evil or to ignorance.
Let us disperse the light of love to our companions on the journey. However, let us defend our intimate sanctuary against the thrusts of ignorance. Let us remember that the Master himself reserved different teachings for the popular masses and for the small community of students. He did not include all the disciples in the transfiguration of the Tabor, and in the Last Supper he waited for the absence of Judas in order to comment on the anguish that was to follow.
It is important to place attention on those attitudes of the Christ, bearing in mind that not everything is destined for all. The noble spirits that communicate on earth always adopt a selective criterion, seeking out the honorable and faithful individuals that are suited to teach others.
If they, who are already able to identify problems with an illuminated vision, act prudently in that regard, how much more vigilant should be the pupil who only sees with his physical eyes? Let us work for the benefit of all, extending fraternal arms, but understanding that each person has his own step in the infinite scale of life.
Okay, so there is a lot to unpack there.
It's a lot.
I have to admit, hearing it read out loud like that, I feel a little called out.
It's a density of thought that's, it's hard to digest in one go. What jumped out at you first?
The phrase uncontrollable enthusiasm. I mean, usually in any movement, whether it's a startup or a religion enthusiasm, is the currency. We want evangelists. We want hype.
Right.
But Emmanuel calls it a red flag. He almost frames it as a lack of discipline. Why do you think that is?
I think it comes down to the difference between noise and signal. He says, astonishment and admiration do not signify an interior evolvement. Just think about that for a second. You can perform a miracle or drop some mind-blowing fact on someone and they might go, wow! That's incredible.
But they haven't changed, they're just entertained.
Exactly. They've been astonished, but they haven't evolved. And if you, as the sharer, are operating on this like manic high energy frequency of, look at this, listen to me.
Yeah.
You're not actually teaching, you're creating a spectacle.
It's the difference between a teacher quietly explaining something and, I don't know, fireworks display.
Right. And to transmit deep spiritual truth, something that actually shifts a person's worldview, you need a stable connection. Uncontrollable enthusiasm is often unstable. It's chaotic.
Right.
The text implies that real transmission requires a calm, prepared foundation. It talks about watching over the patrimony, which sounds, protective, not frantic.
And that leads right into the central metaphor of the whole thing, the terrain.
The spiritual qualities of the terrain, yes.
It's totally agricultural. I mean, if you're a farmer, you don't just throw your most expensive, most delicate seeds onto the pavement.
Of course not.
You check the soil. Is it acidic? Is it tilled? Is it even ready?
Precisely. And Emmanuel is saying we often treat knowledge like it's cheap confetti. We just throw it everywhere, regardless of where it lands.
When we should be treating it like a rare seed.
A seed that needs very specific soil to grow.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
Isn't that gatekeeping?
That's the modern criticism, isn't it? Information wants to be free.
Exactly. If I have the answer, shouldn't I give it to everyone? Holding it back feels kind of elitist. Like I'm deciding who's worthy and who isn't.
See, I'd challenge that interpretation. Is it elitist or is it protective? The text warns about relegating celestial values to evil or to ignorance. If you take a really nuanced, complex truth, something that needs maturity and context to handle, and you just toss it to a crowd that's angry or mocking or just completely unprepared, what happens to that truth?
It gets twisted.
It gets weaponized, it gets turned into a meme, it gets used to justify the exact opposite of what you intended. So checking the terrain isn't about hoarding the truth, it's about making sure the truth survives the landing.
You're protecting the integrity of the message itself.
You got it.
Wow. And the text uses Jesus as the prime example of this strategy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read the accounts, but I never noticed that specific detail at the Last Supper before.
The Judas detail.
Yeah. That he waited for the absence of Judas before talking about the coming anguish.
It's a chilling detail, isn't it? Both historically and spiritually. Jesus knew Judas was going to betray him, but look at the timing.
He didn't just kick him out.
No, he waited. And only when Judas left, when the terrain of that room changed, only then did he reveal the deeper, darker stuff to the others.
Because Judas wasn't a safe container for that kind of vulnerability anymore.
Not at all. If he had shared that information, his deep anguish, while Judas was there, how might Judas have used it? It could have been manipulated, used to mock him. It's basically a lesson in operational security.
Don't give the blueprints of your soul to someone who's holding a match.
That's a powerful way to put it, yeah.
And he did the same thing with the Transfiguration, right? That mystical event on the mountain. He didn't bring the whole crew.
Just Peter, James, and John. 3 people.
So even within his inner circle, he had, tiers of clearance.
Clearance is a good word for it. It wasn't about loving the others less. It was about capacity. If the other disciples weren't ready to process that kind of high-level mystical experience, showing it to them might have just confused them.
Or terrified them.
Or made them jealous.
Exactly. He protected them by not showing them.
Okay, so if Jesus, who's the archetype here of the perfect teacher, was that selective, Emmanuel is basically asking us, who do you think you are? Blasting your deepest spiritual insights to your entire contact list.
Put bluntly, yes. The text says, if noble spirits act prudently, how much more vigilant should be the pupil who only sees with his physical eyes?
Physical eyes, meaning we can't see people's hearts. We don't know who the Judas is in our comment section.
We have no idea. We judge by appearances. We might think the loud, successful person is the one to reach, or the quiet one isn't interested. We lack that illuminated vision.
And that brings us right to the crisis of the modern feed. Because terrain today isn't just the people in the room with you.
No, it's the internet.
It's the whole internet. We've built a culture that demands we broadcast everything. You have a realization, post it. You have a spiritual experience, make a TikTok about it.
And the platforms themselves encourage it. They want the content.
And we measure the value of that share by the metrics. If it gets 10,000 views, we think, I did good. I spread the light.
Okay, but apply chapter 87 to that viral post. If you get 10,000 views, you have just cast that seed onto 10,000 different types of terrain. Statistically, how much of that is fertile soil?
Very, very little. Most of it is pavement.
Or thorns.
hence the trolls. The comment section is often the literal manifestation of casting pearls before swine, to use that biblical phrase.
Oh, absolutely.
You see people mocking, twisting, getting angry at concepts they just aren't ready to engage with. You're offering them a diamond and they're mad it's not a rock they can throw.
But there is a really hopeful flip side to this that we talked about. And I think this is so crucial for anyone feeling discouraged out there.
The algorithm is filter theory.
Yeah. Explain that. Because usually we all hate the algorithm. Right. Well, it's a way to reframe what we call failure on social media. Let's say you post something really meaningful, deep, vulnerable, important. You spend hours on it.
And it flops. 12 likes, no comments.
Yep. The ego takes a huge hit. You feel like nobody cares. You feel like you failed.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it through the lens of this chapter, what if the algorithm or life or the universe, whatever you want to call it, was acting as the natural filter?
Oh, interesting.
What if it ensured that message only reached the 12 people whose terrain was actually ready for it?
So the silence wasn't rejection, it was protection.
It prevented the message from reaching the masses who might have mocked it. It kept the circle small, like at the Transfiguration. It prioritized resonance over reach.
That completely changes how you look at engagement. It means if you're not going viral, you might actually be doing it right.
According to this text, yes. It explicitly mentions seeking reliable men who will also be qualified to teach others. It's looking for a chain reaction of depth, not just a wide explosion of surface-level noise.
I want to clarify something, though, because I can hear people thinking, okay, so I should just shut up. I shouldn't try to help people. The text says don't cast these pearls, but it also says to extend fraternal arms. How do you balance that?
That is the crucial nuance. Emmanuel separates fraternal love from spiritual knowledge.
Okay. Define the difference.
Fraternal love is universal. Kindness, patience, helping someone carry their groceries, listening when they're sad. That stuff is for everyone.
You don't check the terrain for kindness.
You just give it. You pour that out like rain.
So be nice to the trolls.
Be nice to the trolls. But spiritual knowledge, the specific doctrines, the deep philosophical mechanics, your personal mystical experiences, that's the patrimony, that's the pearl, that's what you guard.
So to put it in a modern context, you don't go to a casual dinner party and start lecturing everybody on the mechanics of reincarnation.
Exactly. That's the uncontrollable enthusiasm. That's you trying to force the seed into unplowed ground. Instead, you show up at the party and you're just kind, you're attentive, you're helpful. You prepare the soil with your behavior.
And if someone asks,
If they ask, if they show they're reliable, if they show genuine curiosity, then you open the gate. You follow the demand. You don't force the supply.
this kind of touches on that idea of frugality and sharing we talked about. Sharing the essence without all the labels.
Yes. This is such a great strategy for the modern world. You can share the values of your philosophy without using the jargon. You can talk about the continuity of life or the importance of empathy or hope without using words that might immediately trigger someone's religious or skeptical defenses.
You lower the barrier to entry.
You lower the barrier. You offer them the bread, not the recipe.
I like that. Offer the bread, not the recipe. It sounds like we really need to check our intentions constantly. The text talks about guarding the good deposit.
The mirror check. This is the hardest part. Before you share, you have to ask yourself honestly, why am I doing this? Am I sharing this because I really want to serve the person in front of me?
Or am I sharing it because I want to be seen as the wise one?
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Astonishment does not signify evolvement. If I'm just trying to astonish people, I'm just operating from ego.
And ego distorts the message. If your goal is truly service, you will naturally be careful. You'll look at the person and think, is this information actually going to help them right now, or is it just going to overwhelm them?
It's almost like spiritual triage. You don't give a marathon training plan to someone who just broke their leg.
Perfect analogy. And yet, in our culture, we love to argue with the people who have broken legs. We see the loud critics, the angry skeptics, the people shouting on social media, and we think, I need to fix them. I need to convince them.
The urge to hit reply all and just destroy them with facts is so strong.
It is. But this text implies, don't even bother. Those aren't the reliable men at this moment. You're wasting the seed. You are throwing your pearls into the mud.
So focus on the quiet ones.
Focus on the seekers. Focus on the people who are actually asking for the bread, not the ones trying to burn down the bakery.
It really takes the weight of the world off your shoulders. I think a lot of us feel this responsibility to, wake people up. We feel guilty if we aren't constantly preaching.
And this text says, you can't wake people up by screaming in their ear. You wake them up by being a quiet example and by being ready when they finally open their eyes.
We only see with physical eyes. That line at the end is the ultimate humility check, isn't it? We don't actually know who's ready and who isn't.
We don't. The person who looks like a Judas today might be a Paul tomorrow. But we can't force that transformation. We can only tend the soil with kindness and wait for the sprout.
So let's wrap this up with a clear directive for everyone listening, because always ponder is a command, not just a title. What's the takeaway?
The directive is, be generous with your heart, but be frugal with your words.
Love everyone.
Love everyone. Extend fraternal arms to the absolute limit. But share your pearls, your deepest truths, only with those who have shown they actually value them.
And if you're out there creating content or writing or just speaking your truth and you feel like it's not landing, if the numbers are low,
don't assume you failed. Consider that maybe you're being protected. Trust that the right message will find the right terrain in the right time.
a little less broadcasting, a little more gardening.
Exactly.
Thanks for diving in with us. Always ponder, and we'll see you in the next one.